Back in 2011, Rift was marketed as the MMO that could finally dethrone World of Warcraft. And for a brief moment, it looked like it might actually do that. Massive dynamic invasions, a class system years ahead of its time, and world events that really felt alive. But then, something changed. The momentum stalled, the world quieted, and Rift nearly flatlined over years. Until recently, when something really unexpected happened in the community. Now, let's take a look at Rift's journey, its rise, its fall, and its unexpected return. When Rift first launched in 2011, it wasn't just another generic fantasy MMO. Rift launched with a clear mission: shake up the MMO formula with features no one else was doing at that time. In dynamic Rift invasions, entire zones could erupt with elemental tiers that unleashed invading forces across the map. Players didn't need parties, raids, or coordinate tools. Everyone in the area naturally grouped up to fight back. It made the game world feel alive in a way that World of Warcraft couldn't compete with 14 years ago. So, before Guild Wars 2 made dynamic events mainstream in 2012, Rift was already doing it. Huge zone-wide battles pulled players together for some of the most memorable PvE moments of that era. The next feature worth mentioning is the soul system. Rift's class system was insane, and still is. You didn't just pick a class, you combined souls to build whatever role you wanted. Tank, healer, support, DPS. You could swap between builds with ease on the same character within seconds. It offered freedom almost no MMO matched. The last outstanding feature, in my opinion, is the dimension system, which is Rift's housing. We're talking about full build-your-own-world dimensions, with free building options, rating systems, and even with leaderboards. Even modern MMOs took years trying to integrate compelling housing systems. In summary, Rift brought ideas to the table that the MMO genre hadn't seen on that scale in 2011. And for a while, it worked fine. But having great features without anybody knowing about it wasn't enough. Rift also needed to stand out in a market completely dominated by Blizzard. Back then, every new MMO claimed it would kill World of Warcraft, but Rift was the only one bold enough to say it to Blizzard's face. Its ads literally taunted WoW players. The marketing said, "We're not in Azeroth anymore." It promised a more reactive world and focused on community activities. And it tries to cater to both hardcore raiders and casual players looking for something fresh. And with that strategy, for the first few years Rift carved out a dedicated audience. But competition and an evolving MMO market would change everything. In 2013, Rift transitioned from a buy-to-play model to a free-to-play model. Cosmetics, convenience items and boosts arrived in the cash shop, but the core gameplay stayed really solid. Still, even with a switch to free-to-play, Rift kept moving forward, until everything changed. Trion sold Rift to Gamigo in 2018, and overnight the game moved from active development into pure survival mode. For years now, Rift survived mostly on cash shop sales and optional subscriptions on a very small but loyal player base. It is not the worst free-to-play model out there, to be fair towards Gamigo, but the players felt the shift. And eventually, over time, the world of Rift grew quieter. For many players, it wasn't the lack of content that hurt. It was the feeling that Rift had quietly stopped fighting for its future. For those of you who played Rift back then, what was the Trion to Gamigo transition like from your point of view? Feel free to let me know in the comments. And then, almost overnight, Rift came back to life. Dungeon queues are popping and the world events are being cleared again. Something that hasn't happened at this scale in years. If Rift ever had a window for a real comeback, this is the moment. The struggles of newer MMOs might play a role in the player increase, but overall I think MMO fans just miss that old school adventure feeling that Rift delivers so well. All of this momentum brings up the big question: is this just nostalgia or the beginning of a real comeback? This revival has fans hoping Gamigo might consider their maintenance strategy and could invest in development again. Even small balancing updates and quality of life features would mean a lot to the player base. So if anyone at Gamigo is watching this, please take the players seriously.